Let's go ahead and call this meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Cat, can you please do a roll call?
Supervisor Craig. Supervisor Thorne.
Here.
Chairman Schaller.
Here.
And Supervisor Bromer. Here. And Supervisor Wolford is excused.
First item on the agenda will be citizens' concerns. Anyone here wishes to address the town board? Can I get a motion to go into public hearing?
So moved.
Second. I have a motion by Mitch, second by Ralph. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Who wants to start?
I'll start.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm Dan Kopinski, and I want to thank you for giving me another year on the Convention Visitor Bureau Board. I really enjoy that, and I'm able to make most of the meetings. And since we've merged with Unalaska, things are going very well. 4 years ago, the county of La Crosse was ranked number 12th of the 72 counties in tourism visitor spending. We're now up to number 9, and we spent in 2016, visitors spent about $248 million here in the county, and we expect that to increase in 2017. 4,200 jobs plus are directly related to visitor spending here. So the job that we do down at the Bureau is very important. And obviously our budget is primarily from room tax, and room tax over here at the end is up this year, I believe. At least it was in July and August over a previous year, so things don't seem to be going well over there. We were very involved in the Rose Street project as far as the turnoff. There's going to be a turnoff and a viewing platform for the Eagles up there, and they're going to be moving. There's talk about moving the lacrosse players towards that area where people can drive off and take a picture. And also, there's some talk lately now of putting an large eagle statue there as well. So it's going to be really very nice. And we also were involved in that Pratt. You probably heard about the Pratt, the tax that for Premier Area Resort tax that would have been on a lot of businesses and items that people buy here in La Crosse. Would have raised the tax by a 0.5%. And we were at La Crosse Convention Visitors Bureau was very instrumental in making sure that didn't happen, and I think it's dead now in Madison. So the idea behind that was for roads, local roads. The county was pushing that, but the chamber was together with us and a lot of other organizations, and feeling there's a better way of funding for our roads. It should come from Madison, not locally here. So anyway, again, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity, and anybody have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them if I can.
Thanks, Dan.
You bet.
Who's next? Go ahead.
I'm Debbie Seiler, and I live at 2618 Delray Avenue. And I've been coming to these meetings to better understand our local government and how issues are addressed. And I guess I'm still not quite sure to know exactly what your timeline is as far as where you're at with the water situation. And the flooding that happened to not only myself but a couple of my other neighbors. And I guess the 32 years that I've lived in my home there, I've never had flooding like that. And I guess I can't feel, I'm fearful to move ahead trying to fix my house up again because I'm not quite sure what your timeline is. So if you can give me some direction with what your timeline is.
Go ahead, Ralph.
So Debbie, I talked to, say Glenn, that you put me in contact with over in Westford. I did talk to him a little bit, and we've been trying to get a meeting going with an engineer to explore your situation a little better. So I guess we don't have a definite timeline, but right now we're kind of into the exploration process. Before we go out and we spend a bunch of money on a drainage project of some kind, we want to make sure it's the best drainage project and one that's the most economical for the area. So the idea right now is to basically pool some ideas. We have a couple of ideas put together. We're looking for a few more. If you guys have more ideas, we're all ears. But that's really as far as we went so far. Is we're still in the early idea stages, and then we'll get together with some engineers and then try to get together an actual plan to figure out what it's going to cost and move forward from there. Hopefully that helps a little bit.
Anything else, Debbie?
I guess my concern is, you know, I understand, you know, it's not, there's no simple, fast, you don't want a fast solution, you know, like a Band-Aid fix. But, I guess, you know, winter's here now, next thing you know, it's gonna be spring and rain, and what will happen then?
Yeah, it's right around the corner. Me and Steve talked about a couple ideas too, so maybe we'll come over and talk with you and Kevin about it too. Because it's kind of more specifically with the two of you. So we can come over and definitely talk about that some more.
Okay.
Thanks, Debbie. Anybody else? Who's next? Go ahead.
Darrell Schumacher, Callaway Boulevard, Central Court. Something should be done about that gate, reveal that gate up there, up by Fisherman's Road with city, because yesterday, coming back out, that locked up on me again, ahead of me, and it was about 5, 6 cars. I think one of them was one of your policemen, sir. And so luckily somebody had a cell phone. They called the city or that number, and that should have a flashing light on it. That's the second time it almost got me.
Okay.
It just shuts and then many times I'll tearing it out or something.
All right.
And that should have a standard closing time.
Yeah, I thought it did.
No, sundown,
Sundown?
sunset or whatever.
All right.
It supposedly, but I think it closed early yesterday,
Oh,
because it wasn't even 4:30.
was it? What time was it when it closed down?
Probably half hour before dark when I closed.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a couple cars probably behind you then when I was, it opened up pretty much when I pulled up.
I think there were 5 of us.
Yeah, there was quite a few.
That was me again who didn't leave. My luck.
Thanks, Darrell. Got anything else for us? Who's next?
Rick Tisher,
Okay.
1602 Lakeshore Drive. I got this Senate Bill 392 for ATVs on the streets. I'd like to have you review that and see what you figure if we can get by with it or go with it.
Well, the way the statute is written, we certainly can. There'd be no restrictions on French Island based on our speed limits. 35 miles an hour is, or less, so we don't have anything higher than that. Includes the highways in our jurisdiction, even if they aren't ours, so the county roads would apply to that as well. So the way the statute is written, there would be nothing that would stop us from doing it, unless the community didn't want to, I guess, so.
I'll get you a copy of this, chief, so you can take a look at it.
Most of these UTVs that are running, they do have seat belts, directionals, horns.
Can I ask what your particular reason for wanting ATVs to run around Campbell are?
Well, for one, you drive up Lakeshore to go ice fishing. And they're nice to ride around, and they're no different from a motorcycle or well, they're better than a Segway, safer.
Safer than walking.
Yeah. And they're 2-seaters, they're side by side, she's got a picture of them. And they do have brake lights, tail lights, all that stuff. Seat belts, steering wheel. And they're just like a little dune buggy.
Yeah. I'll run it by the chief and then, see what he has to say, and then I'll try to get back to you.
All
See
right.
what's, move forward.
Very
now.
good.
Alright, anybody else? Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, I was wondering what the holdup was for the police fire and personnel committee.
Oh,
I believe you talked about it, what, 2.5 years ago, and
Yeah.
nothing's happened.
Well, Bruce, like you said, it's on the back of my mind. We're probably gonna have to do something someday.
Once you put it on the agenda and,
Yeah. Probably a good idea.
move forward with it.
Yeah. Anything else?
I think I got a copy of that agreement that you had with the police department. I think that was one of the stipulations in there, wasn't it?
I think so.
This, Alfred, that 10-hour work week, what can you tell us about that?
Well, it was a 1-year agreement, so you talking about police officers?
Yeah.
It was a 1-year agreement, so we gotta renew it or see what we're gonna do.
This one's for you, Ralph. What's the word on this Veritech sprayer?
We've been exploring that this year. Well, you know, every year we take and we put a bunch of sand and salt on the roads, and then in the spring we go pay to pick it back up, so.
Yeah, most of the municipalities do that. La Crosse does it too.
Yep, and so we're trying to change the way we do things here. I believe it was an $8,000 unit. It'll fit the back of his truck. We're trying to reduce the amount of that stuff we're putting down on the roads. With the sprayer, they can get out ahead of time and treat the roads before the storm comes. I think it'll eliminate some overtime. I think it's gonna eliminate a lot of our cost with keeping the roads clear. And we were trying to get it on the agenda so that we could actually do it this winter instead of getting it approved like in April.
I guess my big question is, how come it wasn't budgeted for? You got these 6-7 people that got these houses that are getting flooded, and that $8,000 or whatever go a long way to at least put ditches in front of their house or something to help them out. I think that would be just a little bit more important.
Yeah, I see your point. No, and there is a lot of flooding issues on the island. What's nice about this unit is we can use it for every house on the island. And for $8,000, we can do something that affects the whole community.
The problem with that pre-treatment stuff is, it melts the snow when it comes down, and it turns to slush, and then you got ice.
Yeah.
Where you treat it after it's down, then you don't have that problem. You got the sand with it. We got a lot of shaded areas. You know, we don't have any interstates or state highways or county trunk. The county takes care of that. All we got is residential areas that, the residential intersections, and the sand salts worked out great for ever over here.
It works good, but I think we could do it cheaper, and I think we could do something that works just as good. We could have that thing paid for.
Well, it's a pre-treatment thing, see, that isn't, you're still gonna be using sand salt after that.
I don't think as much. I really don't.
Depends on the snowfall.
Yep.
You might use more.
For sure. It always depends on snowfall.
But my question is, where's the money coming from?
I've got room left in my budget.
It's coming out of this year's budget,
Mhm.
so what's gonna be sacrificed there?
We didn't get a lot of the chip seal done this year, so we had some money left over.
That's too bad that didn't get done in the shape these roads are in.
Yeah, it is.
Guess that's all I got for right now.
Thanks, Bruce. Anybody else? Sure. Go ahead.
Why not? Same question every month, Chad.
I actually had a call today from a guy that was doing stuff like that, but I still haven't decided.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, I have them posted on YouTube. So if you guys want to listen to the audio of the meetings, you just search Campbell WI meetings on YouTube, and you'll find all the meetings for 2017. So that reminds me, I gotta come in tomorrow and get 2 meetings.
You're getting quite a bit of help there, Chad.
What's that? Oh, I suppose. I mean, it takes me 2 seconds to copy it to his desk. So
At least people know what's going on in another way. It's always good.
yeah, that's why we got the meeting minutes. So Bruce.
Yeah, but they have been a little brief too. I think I've talked to you about that since you started over here. You know, people that can't come or don't come, they like to know what's going on, and it's a little bit brief for.
I don't disagree. Statutorily, though, they're right up to par. And if anybody's got any questions about agenda items, you have the phone numbers of every one of these board members. So
Oh, right. But
those
I mean,
discussions can take place outside of these meetings.
It's a deal where
Anything
people
else,
like to know what's going on. There's no reason why you can't have a little more complete minutes.
No, I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Yeah, I have I'll go back to the nightmare again. I'm gonna try to keep up with Lee, I don't know if I can do that. In regards to the $377,000 that was in fire department capital outlay, when was that voted on by the board to move that to reserve? Could I see the vote? I wanted to.
Actually, since 6 years I've been here, it's never been voted on for it not to be in the reserve. So you'd have to go back further than myself.
It's just amazing that it showed up in the budget as capital outlay, and all of a sudden it's gone. So is it still earmarked for the fire truck? That's what it was set aside for.
I've had these conversations before, and Bob tried to reiterate to this last meeting that money that's put in there, it was never earmarked. The board never voted to put that into a fire department fund. So I don't know how else to explain the budget to you. Bob tried his darndest on the last meeting. Just because it was put in as a budget item, it wasn't spent. The board has the right to determine how they spend that money going forward. I mean, that's budgeting for you.
But it takes a motion to move it from its heading.
It never moved. It never moved.
It showed up in fire department capital outlay.
So what? I mean,
Money around, okay?
Yeah.
So I can see why in your last minutes here, it talks about when you started, it was $680,000 in reserve, and now it's 1.2 million. And yet they only talked about $6,000 a year going back into the reserve fund.
that was 1 year. 1 year we did 6,000.
I read another set of minutes that there was only 6,000 put away. I've been going through the back minutes.
Yeah, in 1 year. 1 year. I don't remember.
He asked you this at the last meeting. You said 6,000 for this year.
No,
anyway.
no.
Well, I can see how it jumped. If you take 377,000 and throw it in on top of that, it makes it jump real quick.
If you want to find out, go to YouTube. It's up there.
Is it up there? Good. So,
Again, Bob was trying to tell you that's where the money is. Now, if the board as a whole decides to spend $350,000 or $500,000 out of the reserve fund, that's their prerogative, not mine. You know, you keep putting this back on me that I did something with your money. I did
just
nothing
asking
with
where
it.
it went,
It's sitting in the reserve fund.
but it's not designated.
No, it never was designated. Never. As far as I've been here, it's never been designated to the fire truck.
And we'll go back further. Okay.
Never. Now, if you have some minutes or something back then that the town board made a motion at some point to designate those funds, and that money should have been moved to from capital outlay fund to fund balance, I'd be more than happy to back your story on that, but they don't. You go back to Scott Johnson, probably Dan's era, I don't recall them ever moving that money from general fund balance to fire department truck fund balance.
Anything else, Morrison? No? Anybody else? Go ahead, Bruce.
Has there been any language formulated for this resolution for the referendum, or
No.
are you gonna do that tonight? Is that what the plan is, or?
We're moving forward on it anyway.
Well, it's on the agenda, that's why I asked, is that's what you're gonna do tonight, is formulate?
Some type of plan to move forward on it. Okay. Anything else? No? Anybody else? Go ahead. Hey.
I just wanna, sorry, I'm gonna sit right behind here. I just wanna mention again this evening that as we're talking about this fire truck, we've, from the fire department standpoint, we've put together a strategic plan or a long-range plan for the board that's been in place for years. It's been an ongoing 8-year conversation. We have the means to purchase the truck. And we have the means because the fire department had that money in their capital outlay. Now, Chad duly noted what you said, but we also had money in a fire department named capital outlay that was there for the purposes of doing this. So now we have most of the money, we have a dire need. The truck has a puddle underneath it in the engine bay right now. And we're again having this long conversation about why we have to have a referendum for basic service. I think that that's a decision that is the board's decision to make, because we're not talking about raising taxes, we're talking about spending money that we've saved for a specific purpose. Fire protection and public safety is one of the most basic services that a community can provide for itself, and it's one of our fundamental commitments to our residents to provide that service, to keep them safe. So, I guess I've shared my opinion a couple times about how I personally feel about it, but I also want to share in the conversations that I've had with your volunteer firefighters in this community that they don't feel that a referendum is necessary, and that it should be a board vote.
Thanks, Nate. Anything else? No? Anybody else?
The thing, then the board decided to go forward with a referendum, right?
Nothing yet. It's gonna be voted on tonight, Bruce, so.
Okay.
Anybody else? Anybody else?
Time out. I thought we had agreed we were doing a referendum at one of the budget meetings.
That's the budget
So,
meeting.
what's on the agenda tonight would be to come up with the wording for the referendum.
Correct.
So, correct, Bruce, there will be a referendum,
Okay, thank you.
and it will, we're doing the wording tonight. Because as far as I'm concerned, from back in the meeting in November, we had discussed a referendum, and we all had agreed on that.
That's the way we're going, I guess.
Well, I mean, it's either you know or you don't.
Yeah.
There's no guessing.
Anybody else? I guess, can I get a motion to call a public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mitch, second by Kelsey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Let's move down to consent agenda. Items A through C. If there's no action taken on the consent agenda, can I get a motion?
I have a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that. I got a motion by Mitch, second by Terry. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Move down to business 5A. Agreement of election officials for 2018-19. Jan?
Everyone should have a list in front of you. Ronnie Brower, who's been our lead poll worker for many, many years now, I asked that she gives me a list of all the eligible poll workers that she would like back. I do keep a list of the training that they do go through, but every couple of years they have to get recertified and appointed or approved by the board. So the list that you have here is a list that was compiled by, again, Ronnie, for approval for the next 2018-2019 election term.
Any questions? Can I get a motion to accept?
Motion to accept.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Kelsey, second by Ralph. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries.
Add one extra thing?
What?
I just wanted to make note that although the list looks fairly large, it is getting smaller. So if anybody knows anybody that's willing to or wanting to be a poll worker, election inspector, please let me know. We can always use more. It is dwindling. So.
Move down to 5B, lease agreement request for Nelson Park ball field. I came over to the office last week. Chad said that the airport had a meeting about it, and, they tabled it, I guess, for now. And I did get a email from, Clinton, and, there's gonna be a meeting at the airport Wednesday and Thursday morning from 7:30 till 9, if anybody wants to go to represent the town. I know I won't be able to make it.
Wednesday, Thursday, like tomorrow?
Yeah, Wednesday and Thursday tomorrow morning, 7:30 in the morning till 9 in the morning. It's a best land use study.
When did you get this email?
Guess I don't have a date. 12/7. 4:10 p.m.
I mean, is that something that could have been forwarded to us so we could have adjusted our schedules? So we could maybe make it, because now it's like 12 hours away.
Right.
And I would have been extremely interested in that.
But from what Chad tells me, they were talking to lease the Nelson Park for one more year for $1. Is that correct?
Andrea Richmond had talked to us about the park itself. It sounds like she was not on board with Clinton going ahead with the $6,500 proposal. So she had brought it up to the airport committee, and it actually failed on a 3-3 vote to lease it back to us for $1. So it was very close, and actually their 7th member was absent, so it actually could have maybe passed. But in light of the failing of the original motion, the next thing that they did was they postponed it 60 days to allow the town to renegotiate with Clinton possibly on that, so.
Any more discussion?
I guess really it comes down to how much more time, effort you wanna put into that, I guess.
So is anybody available to go there tomorrow for us?
I don't know.
Well, the land use issue that they're doing tomorrow is completely separate, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's completely separate.
Yeah.
That's not what I understood from what you said.
It's separate from Nelson Park thing.
Okay.
They have an airport board meeting every 2 months.
I don't know how.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It can't be every month. I'm sure they don't have
Yeah.
enough to talk about, but
I always thought they were at City Hall, but they're at the airport. And then if you do go to a meeting there, you can park right in the parking ramp and then bring your ticket in and they'll validate it. So, and then the meeting room was right behind the escalator, she said. Any more discussion? I guess we'll just move on. Move down to 5C, formulation of a resolution for advisory referendum for purchase of a fire truck. And I guess it's no big secret, I'd like to move forward on purchasing an engine. You wanna throw something in on, Ralph?
Yeah, I went to a county meeting last month, what is it, the Wisconsin Towns Association meeting, and it was based on fire departments and mutual departments, and it was not exactly our situation, but fire department was one of the topics. And the gal that gave the discussion, the first thing she said is, we need to look at the big picture. And she said, you can't put a price on life. And that kind of stuck with me. We spent our last meeting an hour or two putting a price on life. And I don't agree with it. I think that sending this to a referendum is a bad idea. There's a chance that by sending this to a referendum, it'll actually raise taxes if it is approved the right way. I believe that the fire department has put away the money for the last however many years, and that the money is in the reserve fund to purchase it. And I find it irresponsible for our board to not move forward and pull the reserve fund money that's been saved for a down payment and buy this truck. That's what I'd say, but.
Okay, so clearly I haven't been here for the past like 3 months or something. I mean, I know I have been here, but I thought we discussed we were going to a referendum. Like that was what the decision was.
We discussed that.
Because why should 5 people make the decision for 4,400 people? Why is that fair for 5 people? Because we're not doing what the whole community wants. We're doing what a set group wants. And that, you didn't run for a set group, you ran to support the whole community and what the community wants. And if the community wants a fire truck, well then so be it. But then the whole community needs to tell us they want the fire truck, not two people that we know for sure want the fire truck, and then the rest of the fire department. I mean, there might be a need, I understand that, I just don't feel it's 5 people's decision.
You think there might be a need for a fire truck? There might be. It's possible.
Yes, but I just feel like it's not a decision of 5 people. I think it's a decision for the 4,400 people, or the however many want to come out and vote and decide, and if they don't vote, that's their own trouble. It's just, I ran to represent the whole community, not to represent my opinion and a group of people's opinions, and that's how I stand.
Do we still have paperwork from the last referendum on fire engine that was purchased?
No, the last one that was purchased, you're talking about the newest one?
Yeah, well, the one back, the 85 truck was a referendum vote too, wasn't it? It was.
83.
83. Okay.
Oh, I'm sure that they have it back there somewhere.
Would you have something?
Nobody looked. I didn't look.
Or could help us with that, to set that up?
What are you looking for?
The language and
I think we probably can come up with some language so Nate doesn't have to try to find all
I'm
that.
sure we could probably find materials, but I don't know if we'd have the exact language, and it may not apply today.
okay.
I mean, January's coming, there needs to be a decision, we need to stop.
So on this referendum, are we gonna put on there, are we gonna take the money out that we already saved? Is that what we're gonna put on there?
So it's just like the money that I have left in my Parks and Rec, I assume this year, I have some money left in capital outlay. I have chose to not spend it yet. I'm not saying that I don't have 20 more days to figure it out, but if I don't, it's not mine anymore. It goes back, correct? And it's everybody's. And that's exactly what I think happened to your fire truck money. I mean, I understand that it's frustrating. I'm not saying I'm for it or not, I'm just saying that it's not a decision of 5 people when we know how at least 2 are gonna vote. Because you openly said you think you need it, or you know you need it, and you agree with it.
I don't think I need it. I think the community needs it. It's got nothing to do with me.
Hey, this isn't personal,
Oh,
just like you guys told me at the budget meeting.
I'm just stating how
It's
I
not
feel.
personal.
That's all. I think that's why we're here, is to say how we feel, and that's,
Yeah, and I feel
I think that putting this in
2,200
front of a
people.
referendum is an irresponsible thing, because
So where's the money coming from? You just wanna
we
take it
saved
out
the
of
money.
reserve?
It's in the reserve. It's
Okay,
there. We've
and
already
then
put
we
it.
have to, do you understand what's happening besides, I know we understand we
I
need a
am
fire
well
truck.
aware of what's going on. My phone rings every night, yes.
Yeah, I mean, we have lots of issues.
But no doubt about it. We've got lots of issues.
I just don't think it's our decision.
If we're putting this
It
on
should be-
referendum, it needs to be worded the right way. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
it
saying.
should. And people need to understand that if it potentially, if we decide to not take it all out of reserves, it could raise taxes, correct?
Correct.
People need to understand that, because I'm not sure if it's the most smartest thing, the most brilliant thing, to take all the money out of reserves when we have a big battle coming. A big battle. And it's gonna be, what, 7 years, 6 years almost? Coming down to the wire. We have a water issue. We have to figure out water too. We're not gonna have a fire department if we don't have water. We have to have a way to have water.
We need it all.
So, I mean, we have to, you know, I don't know, that's my piece.
No, it's balancing act for sure. I don't disagree.
Shouldn't we
Just
have found
don't
on the
think
right,
it's
some
five
type of resolution?
I'd be willing to
Well-
come in and work with Chad on formulating some language.
Again, we're down at the wire. You know, this meeting was supposedly, hopefully, going to be the wording done so we could have it for approval in our January meeting.
Then we should formulate the wording. I wanted to say my piece.
You know,
And I think we needed to word it the right way.
No,
I think there's a way we can word this referendum where that, because you're right, there's a whole community of people.
Well, and we don't need to get all up in arms and get all personal either, because this is just an
Here's
advisory
what I'm worried about,
referendum.
is that we put this as an advisory referendum and people are told a lot of misinformation. And then it comes back and this referendum fails, and then we're in a really bad spot.
That happens to people
We as a
all
community.
day, every day. That happened to me personally when I visited the fire department.
The referendum failed?
No, about how people said things and already had how they felt about me. And those people have admitted to it and apologized and like, it's fine. So, I I'm just saying that it happens all the time. Misinformation, rumors, it happens. Welcome to life.
This is a pretty big misinformation thing, so it's fairly important.
So Ralph,
Taxes will get raised if we don't take it all out of reserves.
you would help with the formulation of a resolution?
Yes.
And Mitch, you would too?
Hmm.
Okay, and then maybe some trustees from the fire would get involved?
I'd like to be involved as well, please.
Well, if we got two, if we have three, then we're gonna start off.
Well, he's technically on the board of trustees too, so.
Are you on trustee?
Aren't you?
You're a trustee, okay.
So it looks like I could be on there too then.
Yes or no?
You have a really thin gray line
We're
there.
walking a fine line there.
Well, there's already somebody on this board walking a fine line, being a part of the board of trustees and being on the town board. That to me is a fine line as well. And that's a whole other subject. But the point is I want to be involved in that.
There is, and I'll just say this, there's a lot of directions that the board at this point can take based on this. An advisory referendum, again, you don't have to follow it. I know you're worried about if it fails. The board's still, I mean, it's why they call it advisory. You can do whatever you want after that.
I think there's plenty of good people in this town that are gonna come in and vote. They are gonna vote in the April election and whatever, and fire.
So you're saying the people that don't vote aren't good people? Or the people that don't vote for the fire truck aren't good
There's
people?
a lot of people in this town that are coming in and they will vote for that. They're gonna get it.
You know, I understand.
We're all gonna have a chance to look at it before it goes out anyways, right? So if that's the case, I don't necessarily need to be there.
If there, yeah, I mean, if you, hopefully the whole point tonight was to formulate kind of a couple different things. How are you gonna pay for it? How are you gonna come up with the wording for a referendum? If that's what you choose to do. Maybe right now as a board, you all decide at this point not to do a referendum. I don't know. That's on you guys. You know, you formulate the referendum. If you don't do it tonight and you wanna get together and put some wording together, we'll have to have a special meeting. Cause we have to approve a resolution at a board meeting. And our next one's January. The deadline's January 23rd to get it on the ballot for April. So again, you guys decide how many special meetings then do we wanna sit through for this.
How many ever we need.
Sounds good.
I mean, that's the bottom line.
Yes, if we need to, we can get together in a couple weeks after we start putting some language together and,
Couple weeks is Christmas.
yeah.
Well, why don't you take part in that discussion then, and I'll let you guys run, and, cause we're gonna have representation from the trustees anyways, so that'll work. That way we don't have any kind of.
We'll get together and talk about our schedules and get something going with Chad.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, can I get a motion then for this
Everybody likes to do.
formation of this resolution? Mitch and Kelsey will be, and, with the trustees?
I'll make that motion,
What is the exact motion?
that we form a committee to put together the wording for an advisory referendum for the purchase of a fire truck.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carries.
Kelsey, what was your vote?
I said aye.
You said aye.
5D, approval of resolution 2017-2 for DNR compliance maintenance annual report.
It says Ralph on there, our bad. It's actually, it was, Bob's. Couple of the new people, again, every year, we're required, the Department of Natural Resources, we're required to fulfill the CMAR report from 2016. We're a little late on this, but it is here. They do require for it to be submitted a resolution basically stating that you've read over the financial portion of it and the technical aspects of the report, that you understand that you'll basically that we have maintained at least a C grade in both the financial and the maintenance side of it, or collection side of it, which we have attained A grades in both of those at this point. And that's following recommendation that we'll continue to implement the needed capital improvements to system and annually review and update the town's planned capital improvements and equipment budget and review rates of special users for cost recovery of services. So basically a sanitary thing that says that we're in compliance. I don't know if Steve, you got anything else to add to it? We do it every year. Pretty standard.
Anybody got any questions? Can I get a motion to accept?
So moved.
I'll second that. I got a motion by Ralph, second by Terry. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. Let's move down to 5E, review and possible updates to policy and procedure manual. I really don't have any changes. I kinda like that, what you were saying, Kelsey, that one time about vacation hours and their stuff. You have different language for that, wording? What was that called in English?
Well, it's just, you just lump everything into one,
Okay.
depending on how many years they've been here, depends on how much time they get. And then eventually they cap at whatever we decide to make it, 25 days or you know, whatever, a year. And that's their vacation, their sick days, it's all of it, all around. And you use it how you want to use it. And once it's gone, it's gone. And then you can only carry over, say you get 18 days this 2018 and you use all of them but 2. Well, the next year, say you get 19, then you would actually get to carry over 2 up to like maybe 25 or 30 or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it just stops us from people having huge balances.
You didn't call it vacation days and stuff, you called it
PTO.
We call it
PTO.
PTO.
Okay. And then you can split that up into hours and stuff like that?
Well, I mean, it all depends on how you wanna do it. I mean, there's, some people do it in 15-minute increments, some people do it in half-hour increments, some people make people take 4 hours, or some people make them take 8 hours, and you don't get the half hour or the 15, it's whatever works for.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
it was,
just an idea, I mean,
Yeah. Previous board changed it where they don't get sick hours, sick days, sick hours, and then, so that's what, you wanna throw something in on there?
No, I mean, in theory, I like what Kelsey's saying. We do have 2 separate groups right now. We do have the police union and we do have now the general employees. If we're gonna go that elaborate, I would say that maybe we lump all this into, during the next police contract and negotiation, so everyone can be on the same page if we're gonna do something, cause right now, you still have the police union getting their 8 hours every month, and now if we start saying, well, general employees got PTO time and this amount of time, it's all different. I guess boards in the past have tried to make everything as fair as possible when the union left from them, so.
like I said, it was just an idea.
Yeah. I mean, to me personally, sick time to me it's not a big deal to me. I'm salaried. I don't have a requirement for anything. So if I'm sick, I'm sick. It doesn't, but.
They have to send you home, sick.
Yeah, but for the general employees, it does make a difference for a few of the full-time employees that don't get that benefit. And I think that's where those 3 employees were really kind of hoping to fight for some form of compensation for sick time that they didn't have to feel like they were using vacation time for if they were sick or if they had a doctor's appointment or heck had to take their kids to the doctor. I know anybody that's got children, when you can take a half a day just getting them to the doctor. That's what that sick time was for. So
I think it's a good idea. We'll bring it back up when the police union contract is done.
I hate to push it off that long. I mean, I think the contract goes through the end of 2019. We're talking 2 more years, but
3 employees.
again, you could I don't know. You could simplify and reword the language where, and I don't know. Again, my thoughts on the sick time is, again, there's really no monetary gain or loss to the town by allowing them to accumulate it. The only time it really comes into factor is if they use it. But the wording that's there, if they quit or terminate it for any reason, they just lose the bank time. They don't get it. It's not paid to them. It's just lost.
If they retire though, correct?
If they retire. But, I mean, if you put 26 years of your life into this place, I would hope that the board would allow you to, take $26,000 and put it towards health insurance premiums. I mean, that's least that they can do. But
And right now they get 5 personal days instead of the 6 hours.
right.
You have some HR experience, Golden?
I have a degree in HR, yeah.
Okay. If you wanna try to take a look at it?
Didn't you just discuss money to
Yeah.
leave?
Well, that's what he
I
wants.
mean,
I like your idea of just giving a flat bank of time and figuring out some kind of, my issue with the smaller company with rollover time off is that we're small. Is 3 weeks not enough time for somebody in a given year that we need to allow them to roll over another week or another 2 weeks into that following year? I just don't think we have that kind of manpower or to cover those shifts if somebody needs to take that much time off. I think we lose a lot.
well, it's like what I said, you determine how many days you get to roll over.
Yeah, and that's what I'm
If
saying.
you
Like,
wanna set it at 10, 15, 20, 50, I mean,
so, I mean, again, like I said, PTO is PTO. Time off is time off. However you say it. Last time I said it though, like you can kind of tier it where your vacation is a use or lose, or it's a paid out at the end of the year, and your sick time is a carryover, and you can kind of tier it a little bit
well, you
differently
could do
the way
this
it is.
same. I mean, if you want to carry it over, fine. If you wanna get it paid 50% of your pay, okay.
Mm.
If you, I don't know, bank it somewhere, but the options are there, it's just, we need to make a decision.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I was just saying, if you're gonna go that elaborate and do all this stuff too, again, it's just, I don't know how the police would feel about it if all of a sudden we're in a completely different category and specter of how time off is handled, and they're still in a 2-year contract with the way that they're doing it. So that's what, my only recommendation maybe would be to hold it off, although I don't like that because that's 2 more years that the guys out in the shop and Cassie have no additional time off.
You're holding off for the sake of us, it's not necessary. We settle our contract, we're satisfied with it through the end of it, and we'll deal with it when it comes up. If it's in the best interest of the rest of the employees of the town, then we have no problem having you move forward.
I just want to be fair.
No,
I just want to make sure.
I appreciate the concern, but that's not, that would be no reason to hold this up. If you think it's a benefit to the employees, and you can come up with something better, than by all means.
Well, I don't necessarily know if it's better, I'm just saying bank it all into one thing, and if someone needs to take throughout the year, they get bronchitis or whoever knows what, I don't know, and they have to be gone for 5 days, obviously with the doctor's note, well then they don't have anything left on the current, that'd be it. Well then if their kid gets sick and they need to take a day off, they can still have their time. You use it how you want, we're all grown adults, so
Right.
we just hope we don't abuse it.
And we've been pretty lenient, as far as if they don't have personal time left over and they have some vacation, they need a couple hours for a doctor's appointment, we'll take it out of that bank. It's not. So I mean, as a collective, they have a total amount of hours anyways. It's just a matter how at the end of the year it's interpreted, how it gets paid out or carried over or whatever. So.
I mean, technically, someone won't even have to call and tell you why they're taking off. I mean, I'm taking the day off today. Grandma's sick, I'm sick, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
I want a mental health day and I want to do what I want to do.
Yeah. But you do have a couple older tenured employees though too that do have it. So we would have to. I would say that you'd want to recommend something in there that doesn't mess with their current eligible sick time. Any difference. So kind of like how we did, we worded it that any employee after January 2012, now all of a sudden gets this, so we're not taking away a benefit from the couple that have been here currently.
Personally, I'm fine with leaving the way it is until next year. I mean, we have a 1-year working agreement with them. Let's broach the subject next year.
I feel the same way as previous boards have set this up, so right now I think we should leave it. No?
I'm fine with that.
So are we only discussing the PTO or are we discussing other things?
Well, we're discussing the language that was included here, which basically does cover time off, employee benefits, vacation, holidays.
On a
And
side
sick
note that
leave
has nothing to do
benefits.
with that, but since it says it's policy and procedure manual, I signed a check last month for boots for a maintenance employee. Are they, I don't know what the whole rules, maybe Steve knows, are you supposed to be wearing those? Since you do get money from the town to purchase those boots, do you guys wear those every shift? Like Red Wing boots?
We get $350 clothing allowance and we have spent it on whatever we felt we needed. There's never been any guidelines.
Oh, okay. Didn't know, just checking.
There's never been any guidelines. If you wanna make guidelines, it's your choice.
Right, okay. That's all I had on that one. I'll read it. I didn't remember it.
You wanna make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion that we bring the employee time off up 2018 when we negotiate a new working agreement with the general employees.
I'll second that. I got a motion by Mitch, second by Terry. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
Motion carries. Let's move down to 5F, review of the 10-hour work schedule for the police department. I guess it's on me. I guess a year ago we talked about it. We went to a 10-hour shift, and I guess it's been working for you guys.
Exceptionally well.
Okay. Anybody got any questions?
I don't. I know when they went to it, there was a couple of officers that really expressed some concern about it, but
Yeah.
once they got into it, they liked the 10-hour work period, so.
Provides better coverage, provides superior flexibility, which is ended up being this year. We've actually tweaked it again for 18 to increase coverage for the weekends. Absolutely maximizes our resources. So I think that we've already submitted a memo from the union to Chad requesting that it become kind of a permanent shift. It's been exceptional. Their officer Sis is here too. Without any questions, he actually's worked both 8 and 12-hour shifts, so he's kind of gone the gauntlet. And the 12 have been on the way the best.
How's the dog like?
And the research shows it's the best shift for your overall mental health of your officers. It's not a 12-hour shift which can become grueling. It's not an 8-hour shift, which creates some scheduling issues. So it's good. I mean,
If we often get held over an hour or something for a late call or report writing after an arrest, and being held over on a 12-hour shift turns into a 14, 15-hour shift, and that gets a little tough. And also, an 8-hour shift working 6 days in a straight gets a little long too, so the 10 is a nice balance of, if you get held over, you might work 12, 13 hours, but you can still get up the next day and work 10 hours and not, feel the pain as a 16-hour shift followed by 12, followed by a 14, so it's a nice balance.
so if the board is agreeable, we'd like to continue scheduling in that manner.
Mitch?
I'm definitely agreeable, so I make a motion that we continue on with the 10-hour work schedule for the police department.
I'll second that.
We got a motion by Mitch and a second by Ralph. Any further discussion?
Just real quick.
Go ahead.
So their memo from the police association then is requesting that we write up a memo or something back to them in agreement with that.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
does anybody want to write one up, or do you want me to write something up and send it to them, or? Yeah?
Yeah, that sounds good.
It's already in their working agreement, so you can just update the dates.
Just update the dates, yeah.
for the length of the working agreement.
Just a little extra sunset.
Yep.
Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. We'll move down to 5G, purchase of Veritech, a critical spot sprayer and anti-ice system. Ralph?
That, me and Steve have, mainly Steve, has been researching this, liquidized salt. And we think it's gonna be a good thing to, save some money for the community down the road. We can utilize this without having to buy another vehicle. I've got the money left over from this year's budget to pay for it. You got any more information, Steve? You wanna talk about?
Moving forward, using this to anti-icing would be a benefit to the town rather than period.
Do we know how much this is gonna save us, if we were to do an average?
No.
If I take a truck of salt, it costs $800 to do the whole island, or more, and I think we can get 500 gallons of about $100, and I can do the whole island with that. So I mean, the cost savings there initially is going to be a lot. Now, if you get the black ice, you're going to get black ice whether you put salt or you don't put the brine, you're going to get it. I don't. Mother Nature is cruel. She comes up with all kinds of mixtures of weather. What we just got is crazy. Because we use quite a bit of salt already, just in this little stuff, because of the way it's going. It would have been nice to have it down ahead of time. And not spend all the money and not have the salt at the end of the year when hopefully we don't need it. Like I said, it's just, I think it will be a benefit, like Ralph said earlier, over time too. So we know the snow's coming. We're gonna sleep easier at night, knowing that we're gonna make it till morning, stuff like that. It's not a lot of cost, I think you're gonna save cost.
I know they've been using it on the new bridge, because I've seen them putting it out there. And it makes a world of difference, because that bridge is pretty slippery. It's been pretty icy already, and they put that stuff down, and it's good for a couple of days if there's no precipitation that comes. So I'm not opposed to it. I think it's probably a pretty good idea.
So is it 8,000 and then we have these additional items, are we doing these options? So it's actually gonna be maybe 10,000?
Yes. You're still looking for that, for these options, right, Steve?
Do we have a total
Right now,
cost
we're looking at
projection?
$8,000. We don't believe that we need
You don't need the
the
options?
ground control speed stuff and this kind of stuff, and talking with other municipalities, we can figure out how to use it without that, you know?
Okay, so you're looking at $8,000.
Yes. For some reason, we need the backup. They've been telling us we don't need it. The manufacturer says it's beneficial, whatever, it's a small cost in the end, $300 more. But the ground speed control stuff, like I say, we know we need to put down 50 gallons per mile. And we're gonna be able to figure that out with the pressure that you put through the system and the miles an hour you go. We're gonna figure it out. So already got good information, to get a good start, that's where I'm at.
Any other questions?
So where do we store it out here? Or is it just in the truck, or do you just go take the truck somewhere, fill it up and?
It'll be put in the truck and we'll just keep it in the truck through the winter, and then we'll have to store it in the summer, yes. And then we'll do something like, if you wanna plant a bunch of trees, you can use it to water them. You know, it's not gonna happen very often, but another thing we came up with is, if you did have ball tournaments, you could spray them. If it's really dry, you can spray them. I mean, there's other uses for it too, so. When they had a 10 and under tournament, a lot of times it would be so dry, people would just get, the wind would blow and they'd just get dirty, and we had no way of watering it. This would give you an option.
You wanna go ahead and make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a move that we, purchase this, brine equipment for
With-
$7,996
With one ad or no? With no ads?
without the ads on the bottom, yeah, just, just a straight truck.
Okay.
Or just a straight equipment, I should say.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? Or, I have a motion by Ralph, second by Terry, any further discussion? I'll call the motion, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. I guess, can I get a motion to go into public comment?
So moved.
I'll second that. I have a motion by Ralph and a second by Terry. Any further discussion? I'll call the motion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say no. We're in public comment. Go ahead. Pete?
This, lease, for Nelson Park, how's that gonna affect our 4 square miles?
Well, it won't because that property already belongs to the city of Cross. We don't own it currently. At one time it was a county park and then they gave it to the town, or turned it over, the county turned it over to the town, but the city has always owned that property. So, it won't affect that, the 4 square mile thing at all.
Hopefully it don't.
Yeah. Anything else, Pete?
No.
Okay. Anybody else? Go ahead, Bruce.
Yeah, I guess I got a couple things here. After reading the minutes, I'd like to clarify what I said last month. I thank Supervisor Mitch Bromer for turning a member of the fire department in for carrying a gun in the town hall and out on the call. And for the record, it was Neil Magoo, which is the chairman's son-in-law. I want to make that clear. It wasn't all in the minutes last time. And the other thing is, I see Bob is gone again, and last 2 years, he was gone at least 12 out of the 24 meetings, board meetings. Now it's gone again, and, well, that's over $3,000. And there was no attempt by the chairman to try to recoup some of that money when they don't make the board meeting. And I don't think it's fair to the rest of the board members that he's gone and he's still getting paid. They're here every month doing their job, so I think that's something you need to look into seriously. And I'd like to have you report back to me on that.
Okay. Anything else, Bruce?
That's it, thank you.
Okay.
Are you gonna have salt available for sidewalks and driveways if it gets some ice? Like in buckets out here like they had last year?
We'll have it available by Thursday.
It's coming in.
We'll have sand outside like we've had last year.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No? Well, I guess can I get a motion to close the public comment?
So moved?
I'll second that. I got a motion by Mitch, second by Terry. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Can I get a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
I'll second that. I have a motion by Ralph, second by Terry. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Hold on, roll call.
Sorry.
Supervisor Craig?
Here.
Yeah, yes. Okay. Supervisor Sloan?
Yes.
Chairman Schaller?
Yes.
And Supervisor Bromer?
Yes.
We are closed.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So we just reconvene into open session?
Nope, nope, we just adjourned. Motion to adjourn if
Motion
anybody.
to adjourn?
Second.
I have a motion by Kelsey and a second by Mitch. Any further discussion? I'll call a motion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no. Motion carries. We are adjourned.
8:30, wow.